harusnya udah anjay. We're back streaming. Eh, oke, sudah pas anjay. Oke, halo guys. Hari ini kita mau belajar coding backend guys. Oke, jadi ini udah ada webnya ya untuk student ceritanya nih. Gitu deh. Nah, sekarang mau buat apa tuh? Nah, kita mau buat database-nya untuk website ini. Caranya gimana dong? Gak tahu. Apakah nge-lag? Sepertinya begitu. Oke, kita masuk sini. Baik, kita masuk ke sini dulu. Kita setup database-nya dulu. Kita tonton tutorial dulu.
Alrighty, hosses, welcome back. And before we create any more pages, before we can create any albums or add any songs, what we need to do is we need to set up our database. So how the heck do we do that? Well, we need to kind of learn a few things first, a couple core concepts of Django. Now, whenever you set up your project to use Django, it came with a few things that may not be kind of apparent at first, but they're kind of going on behind the scenes. The first thing I want to mention is it came with a default database, and that database is SQL Lite or SQLite, whatever you want to call it, and we can verify.
SQL like kita tidak ada menyimpan itu di sini. Oh, ini kan. Oh, apaan? My. Hmm. Wait a minute, kita coba lihat dulu. Ini benar kan ya? Harus benar. Lihat channel. Anjay, ada yang masuk sini. Tes. Halo. Ini suara streaming kok nggak ada? Eh, eh, Kenapa suaranya tidak ada? Tes, tes, tes. Lah ini masuk. Ada nggak jelas buat? Tes, 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 tes. Kenapa sih? Tes, 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 tes. Ada nggak jelas buat? Ada, ada nggak jelas buat? Oh ini kenapa suaranya tidak ada, kecil sekali. Tes, 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 tes. Kenapa ini sudah gede? Tes, 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 tes. Ada nggak jelas? Anjir kecil banget. Apa mau rekomendasi dapur? Kita keluarin dulu. Ada deh.
Verify that by looking at this file, and if you guys don't see this file, then trust me, it's there or it's set up to use it. And if you
DBSPL. Tiga. Udah. Kenal. Ini buat. Nice.
actually go to website settings and scroll down to around line 77, or it may be different depending on if they changed it around, you're going to see that by default the databases is set equal to a SQLite 3 engine. So
Oke. Harusnya sudah pas Django SQL.
Django can use basically any database. It can use Post or MySQL, and those kinds of databases.
No, bitrate-nya cacat. Wih, ini nggak bisa kali gedein suara. Itu ada properties, advanced audio properties, desktop audio mic. Hmm. 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 Oh, close. Test, 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 test. Hmm. Test, 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 test. Oh, test, 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 test. Oke, kurang tes, 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 tes. Kita coba gedein lagi. Oke, coba. Tes, 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 tes. Kita coba gedein lagi. Oke, coba. Tes, 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 tes. Kita coba gedein lagi. Oke, coba. Oh, ini masaknya di sini banget, biar bisa hidung. Tes, 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 tes. Kita coba lah, ada coba. Oke, coba. Oh, ini masaknya di sini banget, biar bisa hidung. Tes, 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 tes. Karena ya nanti kenapa siapa aja yang lah, ada coba. Oke, coba. Oh, ini masaknya di sini banget, biar bisa hidung. Tes, tes, tes. Karena ya nanti kenapa siapa aja yang lah, ada coba. Oke. Oh, ini masaknya di sini banget. Oh, ini kenapa kecil sekali suaranya? Karena ya nanti kenapa siapa Ini sudah paling besar. Ini kenapa kecil sekali suaranya? Kenapa membuat? Kenapa? Ini sudah paling besar. Kalau begini, ini kenapa kecil sekali suaranya? Kenapa membuat? Tes. Halo, halo, halo. Ini sudah paling besar. Kalau begini, ini kenapa kecil sekali suaranya? Halo. Kenapa membuat? Tes. Halo, halo, halo. Ini sudah paling besar. Halo, 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 halo. Anjir, kecil banget. Jelas. Halo, halo, halo. Halo, 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 halo. Coba gini. Bisa. Halo. Ah, gimana dah? Anjir, kecil banget. Jelas. Halo, halo, halo. 10. Halo, 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 halo. Meninggal yang benar-benar. Coba gini. Bisa. Halo. Ah, gimana dah? Anjir, kecil banget. Jelas. Halo, halo, halo. Halo, 10. Halo, 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 halo. Meninggal yang benar-benar. Coba gini. Bisa. Halo. Ah, gimana dah? Anjir, kecil banget. Jelas. Halo, halo, halo. Halo, 10. Halo, 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 halo. Meninggal yang benar-benar. Coba gini. Halo. Meninggal yang benar-benar. Coba gini. Bisa. Halo. Ah, gimana dah? Anjir, kecil banget. Jelas. Halo, halo. Halo, 10. Halo, 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 halo. Kenapa pelan kali suaranya? Elah. Coba kita pakai ini deh. Halo, kenapa pelan kali suaranya? Elah. Kita pakai ini deh. Halo, kenapa pelan kali suaranya? Elah. Kita pakai ini deh. Kenapa pelan kali suaranya? Elah. Kita pakai ini deh. Tes, tes. Nah ini lebih gede nih harusnya suaranya. Kenapa pelan kali suaranya? Elah. Kita pakai ini deh. Tes, tes. Nah ini lebih gede nih harusnya suaranya. Yes. Kali suaranya. Elah. Oh ya apaan dah? Kita pakai ini deh. Tes. Oh iya, nanti dengerin ya. Jadi ngomong.
Are probably something that you want to use in production, but just for testing, it's really awesome that it came ready to use this right there, because we don't got to worry about all the hard stuff of setting it up and tweaking the settings or anything like that. So we know that this is good to go. However, the way it's set up right now, we basically have all of our code, all of our apps, and then separately we have this database. So they're not connected at all. we still need to configure it to work with our code. So before I go on, I want to show you guys something else. All right. So up to this point, what we did is we made one really, really simple, boring app, the music app. And I said our website is going to have a bunch of apps. It's going to have like a videos app. It might have a profile app. I might even put like a photo viewer app in there. I don't know. Maybe we're going to get crazy and make a whole bunch. Now, even though we can make however many apps we want for our website, what happened is whenever we set up Django, it already came with a bunch of default apps. So
Harusnya udah pas sih.
admin, authentication, session messages, and we'll get into exactly what these are later. But basically, behind the scenes, Django is already ready to work with a bunch of apps. So these apps right here, some of them actually need to access a database. They need to set up tables in order to work. So if you ever run your server, and by the way, I'm going to switch over to this instead of my command line just because I think it's easier to teach that way. But go ahead and start your server and check out what you see. All right. So the server runs fine and we can look at the website just as always. But if we take a minute and read this little word right here, it says you have unapplied migrations. Your app may not be working or not work properly until they are applied. Whenever you see this message right here, what it means is your source code, your app, and all your code, it's not in sync with your database. All right, well, that's not good. So let's go ahead and get it in sync. So go ahead and open up your command prompt or terminal. And in order to do that, go ahead and type Python. Let me move my cursor out of the way. Manage.py migrate. Now go ahead and hit enter. And what this is going to do is it's going to sync up your code with your database.
Gimana cara matiin servernya? Control break. Wih, maksudnya gimana control break? Oh, control B. Nah, oh oke. Okay. Oh ya udah dong. Aku turun mulu dah. Oke. Oke. Banyak banget anjir. Kita ke sini Python manage py baru tadi katanya migrate. Admin.
Now I say sync it up, but it's kind of more technical than that.
Oh,
Exactly what's happening is whenever you write migrate, it's going to go in your website settings and it's going to scroll down and it's going to look for installed apps right here. Now, for each one, what it's going to do is it's going to go in that app's directory and it's going to look for what tables are needed to pretty much work with this app. So each app has its own tables that it requires. And for example, whenever we're working on our music app later, we're going to need a table for albums and we're going to need another table for songs, so on and so forth. And I know all of that sounds really confusing right now. Like, all right, so you have these apps and they have like databases and they need to like migrate somewhere. What the heck? I promise, as soon as we define one model, and we'll just make a really simple one and do everything manually, and it's going to take like 5 minutes, then you guys are going to be like, oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I promise. So check this out for right now. Let me go ahead and stop my server, clear out of there, and look what it said this time. We don't have any issues, no warnings, and that is because after we ran this command, where are you? Right here, Python migrate, it synced up all of our code with our database, so we are now good to go.
Nah, what? Udah kita coba hubungin project kita dengan Google API, guys. Buat apa tuh, Bang? Buat ini, buat ngemasukin
All right, so now we have
buat
created our
login,
app. We've kind of set up the main Django project, and a lot of the work we're going to
Oke, kita udah
VS
buat
Code.
setup
We're
ya.
inside of settings.py from our Google login project. What we need to do is create a few new variables and then add some content to some of the existing variables. So the first thing we need to do is add site underscore ID, and we're going to
Itu di mana dia masukin ya? Application definition. Oke, kita di sini berarti.
make this equal to 1. We may need to change this later, but for now, make this equal to 1. It's very important you have this variable. If you don't have this, then we're going to have an error that pops up later. So just make sure you add site ID equals 1. This is because we can potentially have multiple sites. We need to identify which site it is that we're using for our login. Okay, next, inside of our installed apps, we're going to add a few more applications for doing kind of our social sign-ins, right?
User. Kita malah nggak ada user, kita malah adanya admin. Nggak ada juga. Oh, ada. Kita coba buat deh. Users. Baru ini tadi disuruh buat ini ya, site ID maksudnya. Ya kan? Oke. Site ID-nya itu sama dengan
So we're going to say django.contrib.sites. That kind of correlates to this variable.
oke, baru kita buat. Oh, ini masih oke, that's kind of nice.
Here, and then we're going to add all auth. Now this is built into Django, and this allows us to do authentication with things other than just, what do you call it, just a standard sign-in. We can do this with Google as well now. Okay, so we're going to add all auth dot and then account. We're going to add all auth dot social account, and then we're going to add all auth dot social account, if we can spell this correctly, dot providers dot Google. Now obviously
salah terus.
if you're adding Facebook or other types of authentication, then you would do a similar thing here and change this to Facebook,
Okay.
GitHub, etc., whatever the other kind of sign-in methods are that you want to use. In this case, I'm just going to show you Google. Okay, so now that we have added our installed applications, the next thing that we need to do is specify a variable for our social account providers. So in all capitals here, we're going to say social account underscore providers is equal to, and then we're going to specify the scopes for our different providers. So we're going to put Google, and then here we're going to put in all capitals scope, and then we're going to list the scopes that we specified in our credentials. So it's going to be profile and email. Okay, so these are going to
kita buat ini social account oke. Google scope ini kan oke.
Match with what we specified when we were creating that kind of Google credential. Remember, we did profile and we did email, so that's why we're putting those here. Okay, next, we're going to do in all capitals again, auth underscore params, okay? And then we're going to say, that's the access type. And then this is going to be equal to online.
Kenapa kita tutup lagi? Equal to online.
Okay, there we go. Let me just quit out of this Python terminal. I don't even know how I got into that. All right, so that is all we need for right now for the social account providers. Again, if you had other providers, then you would list. Okay, next thing that we need to do is we need to add something called our authentication the authentication underscore backends. And it looks like I spelled authentication incorrectly, so let's just use our spell check here. Okay, so authentication backends, and then this is going to be equal to a tuple. And inside of this tuple, we're going to put Django.contrib.auth.backends.authentication backend. Okay, so essentially Django backend as well as the all auth backend. We need both of these here for this to work for our Google signing. All right, lastly, there's two more variables that we need to define. The first one is going to be our login, and
Oke, kita buat dulu aja deh authentication backend-nya. Ini apa dah? Kita kayak nggak butuh password validator. Sekarang kita kan loginnya pakai Google. Terus ini kuning maksudnya apa dah? Oh ini. Oke. Udah nggak apa-apa, nanti aja. Oke, ini kita buat authentication backend.
then redirect. Again, we got to spell this correctly. Redirect, and then URL. And this is going to be equal to /, and then we're going to do our logout underscore redirect underscore URL. Again, this will be equal to slash. Let me fix my spelling here. Okay, perfect. So we have our login redirect URL and our logout redirect URL. And now we are pretty much done in this settings.py file. Okay, so now that we have all of our settings in here, let me just quickly recap so you don't miss any. We have our site ID. We added all of these right here. So we had our users. If you named your app something else, you're going to change it, obviously. So it's not user.
Oh, katanya tuh itu harus ikutin nama ininya. Oke. Ikutin nama my apps. Berarti ini gak usah.
Users. Then all of these, django.contrib.sites, all auth.account, all auth.socialaccount, and then all auth.socialaccount.providers.google. We then added our social account providers. We then went all the way down to the bottom of our file. We added our authentication backends, and then our login redirect URL and our logout redirect URL. If you have a different page that you want to redirect to, obviously you can change this. In my case, we're just doing the home page. Okay. Now that we have done this, we're going to go to urls.py. This is from our Google login, and we're done this. We're going to go to backends, and then our login redirect URL and our logout redirect URL. If you have a different page that you want to redirect to, obviously you can change this. In my case, we're just doing the home page.
Berarti kalau login ini kita harus ke ini bukan ya? Ya, bukan. Yang ini berarti. Matiin, kita harus ke user dashboard. Oh iya, di mana user dashboard? User dashboard. Logout ke dashboard. Iya kan? Ya. Oke.
Okay. Now that we have done this, we're going to go to urls.py. This is from our Google login, and we're going to add a set of URLs here. So,
oh itu berarti yang di sini. Nah, itu dia.
The first URL path that we need to add is path, and then this is going to be an empty string, and then we're going to say include. Now this is a function that we need to import, so we're going to import this here, and we're going to include the URL patterns from our Google, and then this is authentication, if we spelled this correctly, .urls. Now this is coming from the all auth package, right? So we have Google authentication.urls, and this is what provides that callback URL that you saw that we added when we set up our Google project. Okay, next we're going to make another path here, and this path is going to be accounts slash, and this here is going to give us all of the roots related to our user accounts, so resetting the password, signing out, all of that kind of stuff. So we're going to have accounts. We're then going to say include, and then this is going to be all auth.urls like that. And there we go. We now have what we need inside of our user.
Di mana tadi settings? Ini kenapa kuning-kuning? Oh, modify. Ini dia nggak langsung ke user dashboard, tapi ke user detail. Untuk apa? Untuk masukin data-datanya ya.
URLs. Now, one thing we also want to add here is the URLs for our app. So for our users app, which we'll create in a second.
Kita buat dulu ini.
So I'm going to say path, and then this is going to be users dot URLs, and sorry, this is just going to be slash, and then include, and then users dot URLs. Okay, my apologies about that. All right, so these are the URL paths that we need. Pause the video if you need to copy them in. And now that we've done that, we're going to open up our users. And we pause the video if you need to copy them in. And now that we've done that, we're going to open up our users and we are going to create some URLs. So we're going to make a new file here, and this is going to be urls.py. Now inside of urls.py, we need to create our URL patterns for our home screen and for a logout screen. Again, we're going to write those in a second. So I'm going to say from Django dot, and then this is going to be URLs. We're going to import path, and then we're going to say from dot import views. All right, and that's going to import the views file here, which we'll use in a second. And we're going to say URL patterns is equal to, this is going to be an array, and we're going to say path. We're going to put an empty string, and then we're going to say views dot home. So this is going to be our home screen, which is just the empty path. Then we're going to have another path here. We're going to call this logout, and this is going to be views dot logout underscore view. Okay, so we need to write both of these views, which we'll do in a second, but that's why we're adding them here to our URLs file. Now that we've done that, let's go inside of views and let's create a view for our home page. Let's also create a view for signing out. So first we're going to say from Django.contrib.auth import, and we're going to import the logout function. And then above here, we're going to import the redirect function. So first we're going to say define home, and we're going to say request, and then we're going to return the render function. We're going to render inside of Ikan, but that's why we're adding them here. To our URLs file. Now that we've done that, let's dot construction and then turn the red.html. This is going to be a request, and then we're going to call the logout function, passing the request object. This will log out our user, and then we're going to return the redirect to the empty root. Okay, so there we go. We have the two views that we need. That's actually all we need for this button, and some other things to create this. There we go. We have the two views that we need. That's actually all we need for this file. Now, okay, so there we go. We have the two. need. That's actually all we need for this file. Now we need to create this home.html template where we'll have our Google sign-in button and some other stuff there as well. So we're going to go to users. We're going to create a new folder. It's very important you name this folder exactly as I have here, which is templates. It needs to be named exactly that. Inside of templates, we're going to create a new template called home.html. Again, make sure you name it exactly home.html. So I'm going to use my built-in snippets here just to generate some boilerplate code. If you don't have that snippet, HTML:5, then you can just obviously type this out. For the title, I'm going to say Django Google sign in. And then what we're going to do is create a button that allows us to sign in with Google, and then we'll display some basic information about our Google sign in, like, if you're signed in, if you're not signed in, and then allow you to log out. So the first thing we need to do here in our template is we need to load our social accounts. So we're going to say load social account. And now that we've done that, we're going to have the ability to use a login URL, which you'll see in a second. So I'm going to make a h2 tag here, and I'm going to say Google login.
Wih, mana template? Oh, ini. Sorry. Mana harus di sini?
And then I'm going to put an a tag here for a link. Now I'm going to say href is equal to, and then inside of 2 percentage, kind of, what do you call this, curly braces here. This is one of the syntax in the Jenga templating engine. We're going to say provider underscore, and then login underscore URL. This is a variable. And then we're going to put here Google. So what this is going to do is use a special function that's going to give us the URL for Google sign in. Now I need
Okay, kita coba. Oh, ini. Itu masih titik dua.
to make sure that I don't have the same types of quotes inside and outside. So notice I have my double quotations, and then here I have my single quotes. You saw I was kind of getting some weird syntax highlighting when I didn't have that, so I've just fixed that now. Okay, so that's going to be the URL that we want to go to, but then we need to say question mark next is equal to slash. Now this is essentially defining the route that we want to go to after we come back from this URL. So after we come back from the Google sign-in page. Then we're going to say login with Google. Obviously, we can make this look better, but for now, this is fine. Okay, so that's all we need for now. We will start testing this in just a second. Cool to log out and fix this typo. Go here and refresh, and now notice it tells me that I am signed in. Okay, so now that I'm signed in, I can access block this .com. Since we had that, it's likely that that site ID was 1, and the site we just created has an ID of 2. So I'm going to change this now to be 2 and save. That should automatically update for me. And now if I go back here and I refresh, okay, so that's all we need for now. We will start testing this in just a second once we go through some few kind of smaller steps here. All right, so this is our home.html template. Remember, we have our views here, we have home and we have logout. We have our URLs file that has the paths to these different views. And then we have URLs here, which include these URLs. And actually, I can get rid of this slash and just make this an empty string. I don't think that's going to make a difference, but just for consistency here with this path. All right, now that we've done this, what we want to do is just make some migrations on our database to make sure everything is synced up. So we're going to say Python manage.py, and then this is going to be make migrations. And sorry, I need to cd into the correct directory. So I'm going to cd into Google login, and then I'm going to say Python manage.py make migrations, and I got an error here saying new module Google authentication. So I think I may have spelt this incorrectly. Let me have a look here in my URLs. So actually, my apologies. Here, guys. I was referring to kind of a cheat sheet on my other monitor, and it looks like I've accidentally included this line, and we actually don't need this. Don't worry about kind of why I put that there, but either way, we actually don't need that. We only need the URL to our main app and then to the all auths URLs. Okay, so my apologies. Let's get rid of that. And now that that is gone, we should be able to make our migrations. So Python manage.py make migrations. There we go. Now that we need that, we only need the URL to
Nggak ada suara bang. Real kah?
main app and then to the all auths URLs. Okay, so my apologies. Let's get rid of that. And now that that is gone, we should be able to make our migrations. So Python manage.py make migrations. There we go. Now that we need that, we only need the URL to
Tes. Apakah ada suara? Nggak ada suara bang. Real kah?
main app and then to the all auths URLs. Okay, so my apologies. Let's get rid of that. And now that that is gone, we should be able to make our migrations. So Python manage.py.
Wah ini kenapa suaranya bocor dah nggak jelas banget.
To our main app and then to the
Lah bocor lagi.
main app and then to the
Lah, bocor lagi. Fuck, ini gimana anjir? Um, um, om, 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 om. Apakah karena ini second monitor jadi audionya masuk? Hmm. Hmm, 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 hmm. Anjir, nggak ada suara.
apologies. Let's get rid of that. And now that that is gone,
Wih, malah. Fuck. Tes, 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 tes. Oke, harusnya aman sih. No.
we should be able to make our migrations. So Python manage.py make migrations. There we go. Now
Ini masih. Migration. Oh, ini gimana sih? Ini udah. Save, 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 save. Fuck. Anjir, nggak bisa. Karena tidak ada modul lagi. Apa ada yang kelewatan? Ini gimana tetap nunggu?
quite a few steps here to set this up. However, it's not overly complicated, and each step is actually fairly small and simple to follow through with. So just kind of a warning here, make sure you go through the video and kind of pay attention to each individual step. If you miss even one of them, it may cause this setup to not work properly. So if you are having issues, slow down the video, rewind, pause, etc. Take your time with it, and just make sure you get all the steps done correctly. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started here. I've opened up Visual Studio Code, and this is where I'm going to set up this project. I've just opened a folder here on my desktop, but you can do this wherever you want. Now the first thing we need to do is install Django. I imagine many of you already have this installed, but if you don't, you're going to type pip. To do is actually create a new project on Google, since we're going to be using Google services to sign in. Now what we'll do is we'll go to the Google console, which I'll do in a second, we'll create a new project, we'll set up our OAuth consent screen, and then we will create some credentials that we can use here from Django. So let me open up that page, and then we'll go from there. Alright, so I've just Googled here Google Cloud Platform or Google Cloud Console. You're just going to want to go to this URL right here, so console.cloud.google.com. Now from here, just change your Google account in the top right-hand corner to be the one that you want to use, and then create a new project. So let me go ahead and do that. Okay, so I've switched my Google account here, and now what I'm going to do is click on the Project tab, and I'm going to create a new project, and let's call this Django-tutorial. Okay, let's go ahead and create that. Now we're going to wait for that project to finish tutorial. And I'm going to create a new project, Google account here, and now what I'm going to do is click on the Project tab. And I'm going to create a new project, and let's call this Django-tutorial. Okay, let's go ahead and create that. Now we're going to wait for that Django-tutorial. Okay, let's go ahead and create that. Now we're going to wait for that project to finish, and once it's done, we're going to select that and then start setting up our OAuth, which is kind of the Google sign-in credentials. So let's click on select project. We're now inside of Django tutorial. Now that we're here, we'll expand the navigation menu, we'll go to APIs and services, and the first page we'll go to is this OAuth consent screen.
Excellent.
Okay, so let me make this full screen. So here is where we're going to set up kind of the page you'll see when you click on sign in with Google. So you've probably seen this before. You click on sign in with Google, it brings up a page and says, this company wants to access your information. That's really what this screen is that we're setting up, and we need to do this first before we can generate our OAuth credentials. So since we're not a part of a Google organization, we have to select the external here. Now, it's going to tell you that you're only able to use specific test users. That's actually not really the case. You can sign in with any Google account, at least from my experience. So don't worry about kind of the description and all of this stuff right now. Just click on external and then click create. Now, here we just need to fill in all of this information. So let's fill in our app name. I'm just going to call this Django tutorial. I'm going to blur my email out here so you guys don't see it. Select this, you can select a logo if you want, and then you can fill in these different details. Now, in my case, I don't have a homepage, privacy policy, or terms of service link, so I'm not going to put those in. And same with the authorized domains, we'll leave that empty for now, and we'll end up filling that in.
Okay.
Lastly, you need to make sure that you fill in a developer contact info. So do that and then click on save and continue. Alright.
Masih harus masukin ini. Save and continue. Okay.
So once you do that, you're going to be brought to a scopes page. Now, at this scopes page, we just need to add the scopes with the information we want to get access to. So I'm going to click on scopes, and we're going to add the first two here, which is the email and the profile. This way we're able to get information like their name, their profile photo, all of that, and we could use that in Django if we want to, but most importantly, we just need the email, but we'll select both of these for now. Okay, so let's go ahead and click on update. Now that we're here, we'll go save and continue and move to the next page. Now it's going to ask us if we want to add test users. Now that's while the publishing status is set to testing, it only allows us to use the users that are here. As I said before, we actually don't need to do this. We're able to sign in with essentially any Google account. So you can add a test user if you want, but in my experience, we don't need to, and it's still going to work otherwise. So let's go ahead and click save and continue. All right, now it has some information here. Again, I'm going to blur out my emails. We will click on next, and then we're pretty much done with this page. All right, so now I am back on my dashboard, and where I'm going to go. Essentially, what we're going to do here is create some credentials that we're going to use from Django, and that's going to allow us to use the kind of service here provided by Google to sign in with Google. So we're going to go create credentials. We're going to select OAuth client ID, and then you're going to make sure. This is web application. That's what we're doing with Django. In terms of the name, you can call this whatever you want. I'm just going to call it Django. And then as it says here, make sure you have your log consent screen. All right, so now we're going to fill in our authorized redirect URL. So we're going to do http:// and then this is going to be not localhost, but 127.0.
http
.1 and then port 8. Now, as well as that URL, we're going to add another one, but this is going to have the following. It's going to be accounts / and then this is going to be Google / login / callback. So make sure you name it exactly this. This is just what the callback URL is going to be that we need during Google sign-in process. Okay, so add both of these here, your authorized redirect URLs, or URIs, whatever you want to call it. And obviously, if you're using a real domain, not using localhost, then you would put the real domain here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and create this. As it says, it can take up to 5 minutes, and there you go, it's actually been created already. So what we need now is the client ID and the client secret. So I am going to download this. Obviously, you don't.
Oh yaudah nih nggak ada.
Shared ID, and then you would put the real domain here.
accounts Google, login, callback. Kenapa dia bisa aku enggak? Ah elah, pantasan. Fuck. Nah, create. Anjay, download JSON. Lalu apa?
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and create this. As it says, it can take up to 5 minutes. And there you go, it's actually been created already. So what we need now is the client ID and the client secret. So I am going to download this. Obviously, you don't want to share this information with anyone. And I'm going to store it in the same directory where my project currently is. So that's going to be up here, Django Google login. Let me save. That's going to be up here, Django Google login. Let me save that JSON. Files, we have access to it later. Okay, that's all we need to do from Google for right now. So now that we've done that, let's continue to set up Django. Alright, so now that we're back here in VS Code, we're inside of settings.py from our Google login project. What we need to do is create a few new variables and then add some content to
Lah, masih kecil.
later, but for now, make this equal to 1. It's very important you have this variable. If you don't have this, then we're going to have an error that pops up later. So just make sure you add site ID equals 1. This is because you could potentially have multiple sites. We need to identify which site it is that we're using for our log. Okay, next, inside of our installed apps, we're going to add a few more applications for doing kind of our social science, right? So we're going to say Django.contrib.sites. That kind of correlates to this variable here. And then you're going to add all auth. Now, this is built into Django, and this allows us to do authentication with things other than just, just a standard site. We can do this with Google as well. Okay, so we're going to add all auth dot and then account. We're going to add all auth dot social account, and then we're going to add all auth dot social account. If we can spell this correctly, dot providers dot Google. Now, obviously, if you're adding Facebook or other types of authentication, then you can do a similar thing here. I change this to Facebook, GitHub, etc., whatever the other kind of sign method you want to use. In this case, I'm just going to show Google. Okay, so now we've added our installed applications. The next thing we need to do is specify a variable for our social account provider.
Anjir, errornya sama cuy.
Underscore providers is equal to, and then we're going to specify the scopes for our different providers. So we're going to put Google, and then here we're going to put in all capitals scope, and then we're going to list
Account. Social account.
these scopes that we specified in our credential system profile and E. Okay, so these are going to match with what we specified when we were creating that Google credential. Remember, we did profile, we did email, so that's why we're putting those together. Okay, next, we're going to do all capitals again, auth underscore params, okay, and then we're going to say that's the access type, and then it's going to be equal to online. Okay, there we go. Let's quit out of this Python term. Alright, so that is all we need for right now for the social account providers. Again, if you have other providers, then list kind of a similar thing here for those. In this case, we are just using Google. Okay, next thing that we need to do is we need to add something called our authentication backends. We're going to do this at the very end of our file. So scroll all the way down to the end of the file, and then again, in all capitals, we're going to add the authentication underscore backends. It looks like I spelled authentication incorrectly, so let's just use our spelling here. Okay, so authentication backends, and then this is going to be equal to a tuple, and inside of this tuple, we're going to put Django dot contrib dot auth dot backends dot, and then that's going to be the model backends. And then next, we're going to do all auth dot accounts dot auth backends dot authentication backend. Okay, so essentially we're specifying we're using kind of the standard Django backend as well as the all auth backend we will be here for this to work for our Google site. All right, lastly, there's two more variables that we need to define. The first one is going to be our login, and then redirect. Again, I'm going to spell this correctly. Redirect, and then URL, and this is going to be equal to slash, and then we're going to do our logout underscore redirect underscore URL. Again, this is equal to slash. Let me fix my spelling here. Okay, perfect. So we have our login redirect URL and our logout redirect URL. Now we're pretty much done in the settings.py file. Okay, so now that we have all of our settings in here, let's quickly recap so you don't miss any. We have our site ID. We added all of these right here, so we have our users. If you named or add something else, you're going to change it, obviously, so it's not users. Then all of these, Django.contrib.sites, all auth.account, all auth.social account, and all auth.socialaccount.providers.google going to be an empty string, and then we're going to say include. Now this is a function that we need to import, so we're going to include the URL patterns from our Google, and then this is authentication, we spelled this correctly, .urs. Now this is coming from the all auth package, right, so Google authentication.urls. This is what provides that callback URL here, and this path is going to be accounts slash, and this here is going to give us all the roots related to our user accounts, so resetting password, signing out, all that kind of stuff. So we're going to have accounts, we're then going to say include, and then it's going to be all auth.urls, like that. And there we go, we now have what we need inside of our URLs. Now, one thing we also want to add here is the URLs for our apps, for our user app, which we'll create in a second. So I'm going to say path, and then it's going to users.urls, and sorry, this is going to be slash, and then include, and then users.urls. Okay, my apologies about that. All right, so these are the URL paths that we need. Pause video if you need to copy them in. And now that we've done that, we're going to open up our users, and we're going to create some URLs. So we're going to make a new file here, and this is going to be urls.py. Now, inside of urls.py, we need to create our URL patterns for our home screen and for a logout screen. Again, we're going to write those in a second. So I'm going to say from Django dot, and then this is going to be URLs. We're going to import path, and then we're going to say from dot import views. All right, and that's the import views file here. We'll use in a second. And we're going to say URL patterns is equal to, this is going to be an array. And we're going to say path. We're going to put an empty string, and then we're going to say views dot home. So this is going to be our home screen, which is just the empty path. Then we're going to have another path here. We're going to call this logout, and this is going to be views dot logout underscore view. Okay, so we need to write both these views, which we'll do in a second, but that's where we're at.
Fuck. Kayaknya karena belum di ini deh. No word. Penonton serentak satu. Siapa yang nonton? Halo, ini lagi ada yang nonton. Kamu lagi ngapain? Halo, siapa yang nonton nih? Oh, kebalik. Hah. Anjir, ini beneran ada yang nonton ya? Nggak ada. Aku doang. Huh, berharap banget anjir. Anjay. Fuck. Hmm. Anjay. Fuck. Hmm. Hmm. Ya, udah gitu dong. Eh, Oke. Oke. Wah, apa nih? Hah, anjir ini karena nggak ada back endnya kah? Hmm. Kayaknya iya deh, karena nggak ada back endnya.
Done that, let's go inside views and let's. I don't think it's gonna make a difference, but just for consistency here. Now that we've done that, we're going to migrate. I'm just going to say python manage.py migrate and apply all of our operations. And now that we've done that, we can actually run our server. And there's a few other steps, and then we can see if this is working. So I'm going to say Python manage.py, and then run server to run our Django server. Okay, so now our server is running. I'm going to open up this URL, and notice that we're brought to the home page where we have Google login. Now we're not quite ready to click this right now. You can see if I do this and I get an error, and the reason for that is we haven't hooked up our Django site here to our Google credentials. So notice we have our client information here. Let me just save this so it auto formats. We have our client ID and then our client secret. This is what we actually.
Terus gimana dah?
Need now that's credentials. So notice we have our client information here. Let me just save this so it auto formats. We have so notice we have our client information here. Let me just save. This so it auto formats. We have for our client ID and then our client secret. This is what we actually need now to kind of add to our project. So let's go back to Django. And what we want to do is go to /admin. All right. So I just ran into an error here. This is due to a spelling mistake. Notice it says no module name all auth.accounts. The reason for that is that if we go back to settings.py, we can see I've set all auth.accounts. This needs to be account. So let's change that back to account. My apologies about that. And now that that is fixed, let's put that back to account. My apologies about that. This needs to be account.
Yeah. Anjay.
So let's change that back to account. My apologies about that. And now that that is fixed, let's go here and refresh, and notice we're brought to the admin page. Okay, so I want to go to admin. Now what we need to do to sign into the admin page is we need to create a super user account, which we may actually need to do before starting the server. So I'm going to stop my Django server, and I'm going to type Python manage.py and then create super user. Okay, so we're going to create a super user here. It says leave blank to use Tim, which is actually the name that I want to use, so that's fine. I'm not going to put an email address in, and for my password, I will just do a numeric password to make this. Remember, yes, that is fine. Okay, so I've created a super user account. You should do the same, whatever username you want, and just a password you're going to remember. Now we
Anjay.
Can rerun the server. Okay, and let's go back to our admin page. So let's just refresh here, and now I'm going to sign in. Okay, so let me sign in here. Notice my password was kind of already filled in because I've done this before. All right, so now we're brought to the Django admin website. Now here what we need to do is create a new site. So we're going to go to sites, and notice we have this example. So what I'm going to do is actually delete this. So let's go action, delete, go, and yes, I'm sure I want to delete that. And now I'm going to create a new site. Now for the domain,
Delete. Go. Yes, I'm sure.
I want to delete that. And now I'm going to create a new site. Now for the domain name, all we're going to do is http:// and then it's going to be 127.0.0.1 and then port 8000. Okay, so that's the domain we're on right now. Same thing for the display name. We'll just go exactly with this. All right, so let's go save here, and now we've added our site. Now we're going to go to social applications, and we're going to add a new social application. So for the social application, this is where we're going to put in Google. Notice that's the only one because that's the only that we provided when we set it up in our installed apps. And now for the name, we can make this anything, so let's call this Google. And now we need the client ID and the client secret from our Google configuration file. So I'm going to go back here to get secret from let's call this provided when we set it up in our installed apps. And now for the name, we can make this anything, so let's call this Google. And now
Provider ID apaan anjir?
now we need the client ID and the client secret from our Google configuration.
Garis ini kah? Client ID.
So I'm going to go back here to VS Code. Let me just make this half screen. I'm going to open up this file, and I'm going to copy my client ID and paste that here. And I'm going to copy my client secret. Same thing, I'm going to paste this here. We do not need to put anything. And I'm going to copy my client ID and paste that here. And I'm going to copy my client secret. Same thing. I'm going to paste this here. We do not need to put anything in for the key. What we do need to do is associate this with our site. So
kok beda dah? Ini aku udah setting dia nggak ada. Key dia ada, oke, tapi nggak diisi. Ini provider ID. Udah lepaskan social account. Social applications.
we're going to add a new. Now we're going to go to social applications, and we're going to add a new social application. So for the social application, this is where we're going to put in Google. So I'm going to copy.
Ikutin dulu deh.
What we do need to do is associate this with our site. So we're going to click this arrow to move the site over here, and now we can click on Save, and we have hooked up our Google kind of social platform or sign-in method. At this point, that should be now is Google, and I got an issue here saying, and let's see now if this works. I'm going to go log in with Google.
Alah. Salah nggak sih? salah nggak sih? Jadi kita harusnya itu pakai yang mana dah URL-nya itu.
that we need to save site. So we're going in for the key. What we do need to do is associate this with our site. So we're going to click this arrow to move the site over here, and now we can click on Save, and we have hooked up our Google kind of social platform or sign-in method. At this point, that should be everything that we need to do to actually start using our Google sign-in method. So what we can do now is go back to the home page, and let's see now. Now if this works, I'm going to go log in with Google, and I got an issue here saying accounts Google login does not exist. Okay, so the reason why we're
Malah beda error anjir.
Google login does not exist. Okay, so the reason why we're likely getting this has to do with our site ID. Now I ran into this error previously, so don't worry about it, I'll show you how to fix it. And this is what I was mentioning before. So we're going to go back to settings up high. We're going to go here to our site ID. Now, the site ID is the ID of the site that we're using for Google sign-in, and in most cases it is going to be 1. However, you saw that we had a default site there of example.com. Since we had that, it's likely that that site ID was 1, and the site we just created has an ID of 2. So I'm going to change this now to be 2, and save. That should automatically update for me. And now if I go back here and I refresh, notice that we're brought to the correct page. And now if I go back here and I refresh, notice that we're brought to the correct page. Now notice here that we're getting an error, and it's saying access blocked, this app's request is invalid, and it's giving us a redirect URI.
Fuck. But this delicious nut is not a nut, it's the cocoa fruit. It's the cocoa fruit of the cocoa tree, of the cocoa tree, from the cocoa palm. Sama aja kah ini? Anjir, sama aja. Fuck, does not exist on login.
Access block should automatically update ID had that. However, where you so we're gonna go back to settings up high. We're getting the login does not need. Google authentication.urls. And this is also recent. So that we done there. We need to a second. We're going for second. Then we're going but it's very important just to jet out in outside tools equal to and then one of under and then give us the URL for Google sign it. Now I need citations and then here I have by single quotes. You saw I was kind of getting some weird syntax highlighting when I didn't have that, so I've just fixed that now. Okay, so that's going to be the URL that we want to go to, but then we need to say question mark, next is equal to slash. Now this is essentially defining the route that we want to go to after we come back from this URL. So after we come back from the Google sign-in page.
Hmm. Waktunya apa? Waktunya tanya ChatGPT. Site ID 1. Oke, kita stop dulu. Fuck, sama aja anjing. Admin social application. Hmm. Eh, Sama aja anjing.
Then we're gonna say login accounts were brought to the page. I'm sure all we're gonna do is same thing. Vacation. This is where we're gonna put up the class. So I'm gonna go back, copy my C. That should be can do now is go back to the home page and let using our Google.
Oh, ini dihapus. Tambah diedit. Anjay, error bang. Iya bang. Hah, apanya yang error bang? Fuck. Masih sama saja. Tanda tanya, tanda tanya. Oh ya di sini.
Sign back. So what we can do now is go back to the home page and let Google login does not exist. Okay. So an issue. Here saying accounts, Google login does not exist. Okay, so the reason why we're likely getting this has to do with our site ID. Now, I ran into this error previously, so don't worry about it. I'll show you how to fix it. And this is what I was mentioning before. So we're going to go back to settings.
Dia bukan error di sini. Shit, man. Ah, site ini dia pusat. Oke, udah. Fuck, masih nggak bisa. Tut, 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 tut. Uh, install Django counter websites. Install apps. Udah. Set site ID. Oh, satu. Sama aja sih. Pergi, pilih site, masukkan. Udah. Pastikan ID dari site ini. Hah, oh ini ID-nya. Oke, udah. Sama aja, anjing. Jelas sih. Social application Google ini nggak usah. Secret key. Client secret. Di mana dah? Oh ini. Anjir. Nah ini masuk. Tapi kalau aku mau kayak tadi, gila langsung error. Di mana shellnya itu? Shell. Kamu di mana? Oh, Anjir di sini. Ah. Lagi-lagi. Hmm. Anjir, aku udah ngulang-ngulang, Cok. Apalah. Ah.
things up with Google. Now, to move the site over here, what we need to do is associate this with our site. So we're going to click this arrow to move the site. Same thing, I'm going to paste this here. We do not need to put anything in for the key.
Anjir, udah pas coy. Udah coy, apalagi anjir yang salah. Apa? Fuck lah. Anjir udah 2 jam ngoding. Oke deh guys, gitu aja ya dulu live-nya. Nggak ada perkembangan ya.